Yeah, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another installment of Tony's Take. Man, what is it with Phil Spencer these days, man? It's like every time he opens his mouth, like he's just putting his foot in his mouth. It's crazy, man. So we gotta talk about this latest thing that's going on with Uncle Phil here. So this is from Game Rant, right? I believe they got this off of The Guardian, right? There, Guardian had a big, long interview with Phil Spencer, but he said something very, very interesting that I need to talk about. I've seen some rumblings on this on Twitter already, some funny memes going around, but I need to speak on this. So he's basically saying, and I'm taking this headline right here, Xbox boss Phil Spencer says games like Zelda and Horizon don't have the same impact. Okay, what does that mean, basically? So he was basically saying, I'm going to quote the man himself, right? So this is the first quote they got from him. He goes, I've looked at things like Netflix and HBO where great content has been created because there's this subscription model. Shannon Loftus and I are thinking a lot, well, could we put story-based games into the Xbox Game Pass business model because you have a subscription going? It would mean you wouldn't have to deliver the whole game in 1 month. You could develop and deliver the game as it goes. All right, so what he's trying to say is that, him and the team are looking at things like Netflix, HBO, and seeing if they could do a more, I guess, episodic way of making games. I'm guessing kind of like Telltale and a couple other companies. So that's what he's looking at right there. He's looking at, hey, how do we make these games more episodic, right? Instead of just giving them to you in one lump sum or whatever, just like, okay, let's give you the games piecemeal, right? Then he goes on to talk about games like Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda Breath of the Wild, two games that sold very, very, very well. So this is what he has to say. The audience for those big story-driven games, I won't say it isn't as large, but they're not as consistent. You'll have things like Zelda or Horizon Zero Dawn that'll come out and they'll do really well, but they don't have the same impact that they used to have because the big service-based games are capturing such a large amount of the audience. All right, so again, he's looking at things like, he's looking at games like, I guess, Overwatch or whatever, right? That obviously have a big following going on, League of Legends, shit like that, right? And he's like, oh, these story-based games aren't as big. He's not technically wrong about that, but at the same time, people don't really talk about, games like that, League of Legends or whatever in the same vein that they do with Zelda, right? Because what are those type of games really? You go in there and you just kill each other. There's not really any, like, narrative going on. I mean, I know there's narrative in those kind of games, but it's not the center focus. It's more about the actual gameplay, right? Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Same thing with Overwatch, but it's a different thing, than like a big narrative-driven game like the ones he's talking about. Then, Phil, he singled out Sony's first-party studios. He goes that he believes that they're really, really good at those type of games, the big narrative-driven games. But he goes, they are becoming more rare. And he says that he feels it's becoming a difficult business decision because they're fighting into more headwind. Okay, I know what he's trying to say there because, yeah, if you're trying to develop a game with a massive story, right, and a big open world in a lot of cases, it takes a long time to make those type of games. So it is true that we're not really seeing too much of those, and it is more difficult. But at the same time, like I said before, those are the type of games that get people talking. These are the games that are considered Game of the Year contenders, right? So it's kind of interesting that he's talking about that, right? Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because I'm thinking, okay, what does this mean for the future of Xbox games? Are they just going to start doling out games in little pieces? I can't really believe that that's what they're gonna start doing now. That seems a little like crazy. Like, could you imagine Gears of War 5? It's just you get it in installments. Like, I don't know if that would fly, man, but maybe with newer franchises that weren't traditionally cut into little pieces like that, maybe they'll work better. But established games, I don't know about that, man. But it does, paint like a picture for the future of Microsoft, and I don't know if that'll be a good thing. Like, imagine if it actually takes off, right? Like, people just start buying episodic games like crazy, then every other studio is gonna start making episodic games. Nothing wrong against episodic games. I like them, but if every game's like that, that's not a good thing. I'm not saying every game is going to be like that, but it does paint like a picture, not just of Microsoft, but possibly the games industry, where things could be going. Again, because everybody loves Netflix and stuff, so they're trying to make games more like Netflix. I don't necessarily think that's a good idea, but that's where things seem to be going. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, that's all I really had to say about this. I was like, I don't know what you're trying to say with that, Phil. It's a little bit weird, and he's gonna get flack for that. It's crazy. But yeah, those big games that he just mentioned, to me personally, that's the kind of shit I want to play. I don't. Again, I like episodic games. I have absolutely no problem with them. I enjoy them a lot, but I like those big ones, those big AAA massive story-driven games. That's the shit I like, and I know a lot of people like those too, and we don't want to see those go away. So hopefully that's not the future of gaming, but who knows. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I want everybody to have a great weekend. Thank you for supporting the channel as always. Hit like on this video, hit unlike if you don't like it, but comment, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm your boy Tony, and I'll see you next time later.